Stu Armstrong with interviews that pack a punch.
Hello and welcome to Radio Northumberland. My name's Stu Armstrong and this is the Stu Armstrong interview, where on each show I interview someone from the world of combat sports, and one thing's for sure, my interviews will always pack a punch. My background, as you may know, is the author of the Diaries of a Dorman series of books and the patron of the charity Choose Lives Not Knives. This week's brave soul, who would let me grill them for your listening pleasure, is someone that I actually know quite well, from Burns School of Black Belts. It's Gary Sansom. Hi Gary.
Hey Stu.
Thank you very much for coming.
No problem, mate.
Run through a few questions. I'm sure there's a lot of people who'll be very interested in what you've got to say. So, I know that you're classed as a second Dan black belt. Can you explain just what this means?
Yeah, now I'm a third Dan black belt. I received it a year past September. It means I've gone through the grading syllabus, which when we first started, obviously is a white belt, graded through 3 years. Received my first Dan black belt, which meant then I was a serious beginner. Carried on training 2 years later down the line. Then I went into cycle training for second Dan black belt. Passed that, and 3 years after that I was in cycle training for my third Dan, which lasted a 6-month cycle period, which I done actually with my oldest daughter Libby.
Yep.
We both went through.
I bet.
That's all I can say. But it was an enjoyable hell, and I was graded by my instructor Rick Burns, both Dan, also WTKA England team manager. I was also graded by Master Andy Crittenden, who was also WTKA head referee and Revolution tournaments organiser, chief executive officer, and Master Terry Johnson, who is 7th Dan and who is the WTKA Great Britain team manager.
I'm definitely going to make sure I don't mess with you, not that I would anyway, mind. So how long have you been involved in martial arts, and what sort of age did you start at?
I started 10 years ago at the age of 38. I was a late starter because before that rugby was my game. I played rugby since I was about 12 years old. Took a few bad injuries, things started getting harder and harder, and I broke my shoulder, and then I broke it again at work. I had a serious accident at work, breaking it. Tried to play on, but that was it. Had to call time. And then 5 years later, Libby had started. I'd seen Rick, and he asked if the bairn wanted to start training. So took her along, which she loved it. She gave her ace dancing up, and then I badgered him for the start an adults class, and lo and behold, we started an adults class with 3 adults.
So it sounds like a bit of a case that you started that because you were getting a little bit worried that Libby would beat you up in the house.
Oh well, I live in a house of 3 women, so...
You've got to be badgered with that. How often do you train, Gary? And what does it consist of? I mean, I'm sure it's a lot more than just the old wax on, wax off of Karate Kid.
We train 5 days a week, Monday to Thursday, Saturdays, Friday we have our staff meetings, Sundays normally competition days, but Monday normally consists of is our sport karate night where we do our katas, self-defense. Mondays and Wednesdays is at nights. Tuesdays and Thursdays is pad work, and the guys who spar go away do our point sparring.
Yep.
Techniques, and then once the other class is finished, then we've got the full use of the mats where we just constantly spar.
Sounds like fun.
Brilliant.
How did you become an instructor then? I mean, you're talking about you persuaded them to start an adults class with like 3 adults. Next thing, well, not next thing, but you've ended up with an instructor. Was it a conscious decision to move towards becoming an instructor even, or just something you sort of gravitated to?
Being one of the first adults who was involved in the school, as the school was getting bigger, there was three instructors. So there's Mr. Burns, Mr. Gurney, Mr. Brown, who has now left our shows, gone to Australia. So it left the two main instructors, and there was myself and another one of the original adults asked if we would like to become assistant instructors.
Yeah.
So we took her on, and that was before we were Dan graded. And once we were put through rigorous tests and all sorts, loads of training, and we become graduated to instructors.
Yeah. I mean, I already know the answer to this, but for people that don't know you, I mean, I know that you enjoy teaching, and I know that you love your martial arts, but what is it about teaching martial arts that you really like?
Oh, enjoyment. Enjoyment. I absolutely love helping people.
Yeah.
It's, I'd go out my way to help anybody, and the enjoyment that you get when you see people trying, and they don't believe in themselves, and you just help them, and when you see them turn and do something which, like, normal people, how can I put it? Some people will find easy,
yeah,
but some people will struggle,
mm-hmm.
and you break it down to do it in the most easiest way, and you see them people doing it, and the inner smile it has is phenomenal.
Yeah, I know we were talking just before the interview with my son Luca, and Luca was saying that one of his friends sort of trains with you, a young lad called Corey, and you're saying that he's a bit of a sort of natural student, and you love that, but you also love the people that don't take to it naturally, that it's a lot more sort of fulfilment and pride for you as well. I think that's absolutely fantastic, to be honest. I was at this point going to ask, but I think you've already answered it. Most of your family, from what I know anyway, are pretty successful in martial arts, and I was going to ask, is it something that you got them into, but it seems to be you got into it because of Libby, your daughter. What about the rest of your family? Because I know your wife, she practices as well.
Yeah, Libby started, then a couple of months later I started, and because Millie, my youngest daughter, was such a young age at the time, obviously Simone couldn't start.
Yeah.
Until Millie was, until Millie was of a certain age. But we bought a suit for her 4th birthday and tried to get her into the mini dragons, and she just sat there, adamant, no.
Yeah.
So Simone couldn't do it until actually Millie started.
Yeah.
So Simone is now 2nd Dan black belt along with Millie.
Mm-hmm.
Going into cycle training very, very soon for her 3rd Dan.
Excellent.
Who is also an instructor within Burns School of Black Belts. Libby is an assistant instructor, and Millie is what you call on the SWAT team, which is a special winning attitude team.
Yeah, I can see that, to be honest. I mean, I've never met Millie, but whether I should mention this or not, she's a really inspirational girl. I remember a couple of years ago, I seen something on Facebook, and I was talking to Gary about it, and I was absolutely amazed. It actually brought tears rolling down my face. She had really long hair, and to raise money for cancer, out of sort of memory for her granddad, she got it all cut off. I mean, that had tears rolling down my face. It must have made you massively proud, that, Gary. It's something that I think about that a lot, to be honest. I think it was amazing. Yeah,
now you mentioned, I've got a tear in my eye now about it. Yeah, we lost my dad to cancer. He fought 2.5 years, and the girls, without fail, every week were there to see him, and they knew what was happening, and we sat down and spoke about it. And I think the biggest thing that devastated her was he missed her first Dan grading.
Yeah.
He went 3 weeks before Millie's actual grading, and he had seen myself, Simone and Libby all get our black belts, and it absolutely devastated her, and it was something she wanted to do, because going into the wards when he was in hospital, Just seen so many patients, and there was children there.
Yeah.
And off her own back, she wanted to help.
It's something I had to mention because I mean, 2 or 3 years ago I think it was now, but it's something that really, really touched me, and it's something I think of a lot, to be honest. There's not a lot of young girls that would do that. I think it was pretty amazing.
Stu Armstrong with interviews that pack a punch.
As we've talked before, Gary, the training's quite hard and quite rigorous. How does that impact on everyday life?
It helps us because I'm a bricklayer by trade, so it's a demanding job and physical, so every day is a training day.
Yeah. You not need a cool chisel, you'll chop the bricks in half, I bet. Have you ever had to use any of your skills out of training or out of competition?
Yes. As you know, working as a doorman, which I've done nearly 28 years of, it has come in very, very handy.
Yeah.
But not striking or kicking or anything, but more the self-defence side.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, it's something I was going to mention, actually. I remember probably about 18 months or maybe a little bit longer ago, I was working in Deep Nightclub in Whitley Bay as a doorman. Something was going on at the bottom of the stairs in the toilets, and I remember getting alerted, and I went running down. I mean, Gary was in there as a customer having a drink with his wife, if I remember rightly, and I've been speaking to him earlier on. He was straight down them stairs with us like a shadow, a lot quicker than the other doorman I was working with that night, I might add. So I think it's pretty much, it's in your DNA. I mean, I'm the same, but I mean, that was great when he did that to help us out that night. Do you think it's something he would ever do? Would you ever go back on the door again?
No. I've had me time. I wouldn't say I'm past my sell by date, but it's...
Well, I still wouldn't cross it.
No, I love spending time with the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, now, you know, at first I did miss it. I missed it massively. I was like a bear with a sore head. But I was teaching family classes, private classes on a Friday night, Saturday night, and I just put it at the back of my mind.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, as my kids are getting older, it's something I'm sort of finding is more and more precious as that time. So how long I'll stay doing it, who knows? I think probably I know the answer to this already, but would you recommend training martial arts to children?
Yes.
And would you say that's a bit of a self-defence sort of role, or a self-discipline sort of role, or?
Both, yeah. Discipline, you get courtesy, respect, discipline, everything. It is good. You know, you do get kids with a lot of anger issues.
Yep.
And when you're hitting them pads...
I thought you were going to say when you're hitting them kids.
It's just when we're teaching them.
Right, well, I'm definitely saying a mine in that case. And I know you're involved in what's called Mini Dragons. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, Mini Dragons is a programme for 4 to 7-year-olds, which we also teach them. What we do teach is basic hand and kicking techniques. Once they start on their white belts, they'll learn a few, and then the progress up to once you are getting older. If you know, we do add a few more complicated techniques in, complicated kicks, but at each grading from the yellow stripe, we teach them a kata, which is a series of moves.
Mm-hmm.
The first one being just basic technique, then they'll miss a belt where they do pad work, then the next grading they're back onto katas, and so we'll do 1 quarter, we'll do a form, second one we'll miss all technique, third miss, then fourth back onto katas again. It's fantastic for the hand and eye coordination.
Yeah.
Because you know, you do get a lot of clumsy people.
Mm-hmm.
And
why are you looking at me when you say that, Gary?
Look at me. Yeah, and it does It does help them massively bring the hand-eye coordination on.
Yeah. I did an interview a couple of weeks ago with somebody called John Chopper Stone, who runs Zombie MMA in Nuneaton. Now, he does a lot of work with schools and things like that, and a lot of teaching the kids. And what he's saying, he does it more self-defensively. He doesn't teach them to fight. He teaches them sort of self-defence, that the first thing you would ever do if you ever want to be attacked or something like that, if you can run, you run. Take mug you for your mobile phone or something as a child, just give them it and try and get away. And then you see it's raising their confidence and all of that kind of things. Do you think it's something that is important in this day and age, and something that should be brought into like the national curriculum for kids, self-defence?
Yes, if it's taught by the correct person.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you do get some people who go out and say, I can do this, I can do that, and in their minds they can, but it's teaching it correctly,
Yeah.
putting it across the correct way. I mean, we do, like schools, we do a programme with stranger awareness.
Mm-hmm.
When the kids are trained, when they've done their warm-up, when we're getting sorted out before we put them into their little groups, I'll do a little mat chat. You know, when we talk about little different things and that, and one thing I do go on about is stranger awareness.
Yeah.
Teaching the kids the fundamentals of it and the stages that you go through. You know, if someone approaches you, first off, shout, yeah, no, then yell, and I say, what do you yell? Stranger, stranger.
Yeah.
Then go, where do you go? As far as you can, then tell. So who do you tell? Whoever's looking at you. So, and the kids absolutely love it, and it has worked.
I think that's fantastic. It's not something until, like I was saying, I was talking to John a few weeks ago, and then yourself today, I didn't even realise with these kids' classes that they were taught things like that, sort of stranger awareness and all of that kind of thing. I think it's absolutely fantastic, to be honest. Have you got any stories about, obviously you'll not be able to name names, but any kids who've been in a situation who've used some of the techniques to either defend themselves or to escape?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I bet that made you feel very proud, did it?
It did, because it was Libby. Yeah, I'd come home from work. I'd finished work early on a Friday. I was in a rush to get the physio. And we lived beside Libby's, well, our old high school. And I was coming round, and I seen the kids coming out, and she was waving, so I slowed the car down, put the window down. I says, I'm running late, I'm going down to physio. And she did look a little bit uneasy, so I gets down to physio, switches the phone off. As physio comes out, looks at the phone, 25 missed calls, 19 messages. So listens to one of the messages. My wife, you better hurry up and get home. We've got the police on their way. And I thought, oh, we've been burgled.
Yeah.
You know, first thing come to mind, or she's been in a crash.
Yeah.
So I gets back on the phone, asks what's wrong. Someone's grabbed Libby at school. Oh, right. So that's why she was looking a little bit distraught.
It's got to be terrifying, that, really.
It was. I says, well, what's happened? She says, as she was walking out of school, some guy come up to her, grabbed her hold and went, you'll come with me. And she took a few steps and then stopped, realised, and as he tried to pull her, she went straight into defensive mode, punched, kicked, and actually headbutted him.
She's certainly our father's daughter, then.
Oh, well, yeah.
I think that's great. I mean, it's terrifying to think of what could have happened if she didn't have some of those skills. I think it really is. But it would take a very brave person to mess with one of your kids, I tell you. What advice would you give to parents who were thinking about getting the children into martial arts?
Don't just go to the first one that you see.
Yeah.
You know, have a look around on the internet, read the write-ups, the testimonials, go along. A lot of schools will offer free classes.
Yeah.
You know, they'll offer a trial class. Ourselves at Burn School of Black Belts, we always offer a week's free trial before you decide to join. And if you're still not sure, we'll offer a second week.
Yeah, I think that's got to prove that you know your stuff, and you're not a bit of a sort of dodgy place. The fact that you let people come for a week without any obligation or cost, I think that's brilliant, to be honest.
What we do have, which we are very, very lucky, we do have a rich line of staff.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the most that we'll have in a lane is 4 students to 1 staff member.
That's good.
So, it's always, and we do have some of the SWAT team walk the lanes, so they keep a check on the kids, just to make sure that they're not being daft or trying to hurt each other. Because with our Mini Dragons program, the only things that they hit is the pads.
Yeah.
We don't let them hit the other kids. And when they do move up into the kids' class, it takes, we'll give them a few, if they're just new into the kids' class, we'll give them a few months to learn their controls before we actually let them have a shot at the sparring.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really good. I've got to say, I'm pleased you explained earlier what the SWAT team meant, because if you hadn't, it sounded purely terrifying, that.
Stu Armstrong with interviews that pack a punch.
Well, Gary, I know that you're part of a very successful team at Burn School of Black Belts. I've been having a look at your website, and it talks about Tempest Karate, and it describes that as a fusion of freestyle kickboxing, Kempo karate and self-defense. Could you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, it's just certain moves taken out of different styles of karate and fused together. It's our own style.
Yep.
We are not a traditional karate club where you've got your strict disciplinarian at the front. We do like to have a bit lightheartedness in, because obviously everybody doesn't like to be ruled by a dictator. We do our freestyle forms, katas, which we do empty-handed forms, weapons forms, self-defense. Each form has got its own self-defense techniques to it. Pardon me. We move on. You've got different phases. You have phase 1, which is your beginners, white, yellow, orange, green belts. They'll do basic forms. Then from blue belt up to red belt, which is your phase 2, and their forms do get a little bit harder. Then we introduce weapons into them. Self-defense techniques get a little bit more harder. Yeah, and you've got your phase 3, which is your brown group up to brown and black, which is your cycle training belt before you go for downgrading, which again, weapons and a lot more complicated. Then from your first downgrade onwards, it gets pretty hectic.
Yeah.
A lot of complicated techniques, a lot of complicated self-defenses, totally different weapons. We use the kama, the broadsword, bow staff, the tonfa, and we do devise our forms with them.
Yeah. You mentioned the weapons here. On the website it says that at times you would train with weapons such as nunchucks. Can you tell us a little bit about this and sort of when they will be used?
Nunchuck, on your downgrading system for first dan, your weapon is the kama, which is a Japanese forming tool, which all the weapons that we use, apart from the broadsword, are devised from the Okinawan forming facilities.
Yeah.
Because they weren't allowed to carry weapons.
Mm.
And that is the only part of the traditional that we do. The kama it's like a scythe used for cutting crops. Your bow staff used for carrying. Your tonfas was used for winding the grain mills up.
Mm-hmm.
The broadsword, which is quite hard, and we use that for third Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, bow staff for second Dan. Fourth Dan is the nunchuck, which, if put in the wrong hands, is pretty lethal.
Yeah. I think it just goes to show you that really anything in the wrong hands or the right hands can be made into a weapon. I mean, I'm thinking about bashing you with one of these microphones, but I think better of it. It is stuff, as I say, I've been mentioning a lot about the website there for Burn School of Black Belts. If you want to check it out, I mean, there's some really good stuff on there, and it shows you a lot I found about the sort of respect and the dignity and the pride sort of side of things. But if you want to have a look at that, that's on www.bsbb.co.uk. That's www.bsbb.co.uk. One of the things I read on the website, which I really liked, and there's a quote directly from the website here, is, "I intend to develop myself in a positive manner and avoid things that would reduce my mental growth and my physical strength." Now, I really like that quote. I think it was really positive. And I guess what you're also saying is, to be successful in martial arts, it's not just about physical strength, but mental well-being is just as important.
That is from our student creed, which we start at the beginning of every class.
Yeah.
The mini dragons and the kids. The adults don't do it because some of them feel, I'm not doing that. But that tells us that the kids are ready for to start the class. That they're going to pay attention. They're not going to be little tinkers.
Mm-hmm.
And that they're going to give that absolute best what they can do.
And you see a lot of quotes and sort of sound bites all over, similar sort of things, but that one really struck home with me. I think it was really good, to be honest. Now, I know that Burn School of Black Belts and yourself individually, you've been massively successful in competitive martial arts. Can you take us through some of the medals that you've won?
Myself? Yeah. I've won English titles in point sparring, British titles. I've come second in world championships in point sparring in the veterans division. I took third place in the weighted divisions when I was fighting young kids when I shouldn't have been. Also,
sounds a bit like being back in the door, Gary.
Yeah. We do a lot of sport weapons combat as well, where we use padded weapons, swords, screamer sticks, nunchucks, bow staffs, and I've took world titles in all of them. I've also took a second place in the world in full contact weapons fighting.
Yeah.
Whereas the hands and the feet as well as the weapons are involved, which was pretty good fun. And we do a lot of coaching with it as well. Myself, Rick Burns, who is the England team manager, and I'm England team coach along with Rick. We go around teaching people it who want to get into it, and trying to bring them on.
I think that's pretty amazing, to be honest, especially when, I mean, I knew you were involved in this sort of thing, but to me, you've always just been my mate Gary. And you think, it's world championship level. I think that's absolutely amazing, something to be really proud of. And I can tell by the look of pride on your face that you are, to be honest. But I think what's good is you're not one of these that brags about it all the time, because until we started preparing for this interview, I didn't know any of that, and I've known you for long enough, so, that's good.
Last year, when we went out to the World Championships, as a school, as Burn School of Black Belts, we come back with 33 world titles,
wow,
32 silver medals, and 23 bronze medals. And that was from a team of 24 people.
That's amazing. It really is. What would you say your hardest competition fight's been that you've had, and who with?
No, there's one. Every competition's hard.
Yeah.
Every competition's hard. You can't say, oh, that was a doddle, that was a doddle. It's not. Because not one fighter is the same. Not one fighter is the same. I think probably my most satisfying one, proudest one, was last year at the World Championships. We had a junior team,
Yeah.
a cadet team, which is up to 18-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys, it was a three-man team. One of the guys there was nobody for them to fight.
Yeah.
So one of the guys had pulled out and went into another team, and it left two of our boys kicking their heels basically, and they asked Rick if they could go into the adult team fight.
Yeah.
But we need a third person. Well, I was just down as to fighting the veterans. I wasn't allowed to fight in the weighted categories this year, and they come up and they asked me if I would go in.
Mm-hmm.
And being the guy's instructor, I train with them every day. I said, of course I will.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask us twice.
That's it.
And we were pitted. We ended up as England Team 3 because we had already had 2 England teams in. And we were pitted against the Might of America,
Yeah.
the Amerikick team. And
Amerikick.
Amerikick,
That's
yeah.
a bit cheesy, that, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, these guys, they're well versed in every discipline.
Yeah.
They're an amazing team. We were watching them warming up, I think, and this is going to be quite difficult. And we come up onto the mats. Callum went out first, Callum Dillon. His score was at 7 points each. It was put the 2 captains out first. Then I went out against this young guy. We come up, touch gloves, bow to each other, bow to the referees, and he looked us up and down, went, "Tss." I thought, you cheeky little thing, you.
Well, no news I do. That's a bad move that was on his part.
Yeah, I mean, he went 2 points up, and I thought, you're not going to score again.
Yeah.
And I frustrated him, and my score ended up it being 9 points to 2 to me.
Well done.
And then the third man out was young John Joe Boys, who was a 15-year-old fighting in an adults competition.
It's got to be difficult.
Yes, but no, because the guys who know John Joe, he goes as the name of the machine.
Well, I think that says a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And this guy is absolutely phenomenal. He's lightning quick. And he was up against the Amerikick star man. And I think it ended up... It was close. I think it ended up as a draw. But we put the Might of America out.
Yeah.
And that, to me, was probably my most favourite part. The whole of the arena actually stopped because there was that many cheers going on, and all around, all the areas are fenced off, but because the cheers were going on, all the mats had stopped and everybody congregated around our mats.
Must be amazing, that.
And it was I was speechless. My coach, our corner, we had 4 men in our corner. We had Rick, Andy Crittenden, who I'd mentioned before, the head referee. We had Hayden Lindley, who was our point sparring coach from Doncaster, and Marsa Terry Johnson, who was the GB head.
Yep.
All them guys were sitting there on our corner, and every time we scored, the roar coming from behind, and we actually had people coming from all over the world later on and the next day congratulating me on how we disposed of this team. And the hairs are starting to stand up on end again, you know. And Callum's got videoed, his mum videoed that, John Joe's got videoed.
Yep.
Mine didn't. I was absolutely devastated because Libby, my oldest daughter, she was on one mat and Millie was on the next mat.
Yeah.
And Simone she didn't know who to go to. And one of the referees turned around and went, "They're your daughters."
Well, that's it. You always go to your kids first. But saying that though, Gary, you're that quick. Do you think they would have caught you on video anyway?
No, they would have.
I've got to say though, I mean, that's some sort of you and Burn School of Black Belts up a lot. I think they asked a question about your fight, but when you came to your proudest sort of fight, but it wasn't just you, it was the team you talked about, and it was Callum and John Joe that you mentioned there. I think John Joe at 15 fighting in adult category, that's pretty amazing. I mean, you're not a fully grown man at 15. And you're fighting fully grown men. There's a huge sort of difference in strength and everything. So well done to him. Well done to all of them.
These guys that train religiously every day, and we go through different techniques. We've trained with some of the top competitors in the world.
Yeah.
We've trained with Raymond Daniels. We've trained locally with Ross Gladwin and Ken Forrest from Emulous Sport Karate. We've trained with these guys, and the stuff that we've took away from these, we've put into our own style, and it's helped them massively, absolutely massively.
You certainly all done really well there. Have you ever been badly hurt or injured during training or in a fight?
Not badly. I've had the wind taken out of us 2 years ago. I fought in the weighted categories, and I thought if I win one fight, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Because it was up to 36-year-olds, and then from 36-year-olds they move onto the veterans.
Yeah.
I was fighting there. I was 47 years old, and I went through, I think it was about 6 or 8 different competitors. It was a huge category.
Some going that.
The men's plus 95 kilos. I ended up getting called out for semi-finals.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, semi-finals? Oh, right. And I fought a guy called Peter Koich, who was the Czech national coach.
Yeah.
And I gave Peter a good run. I was beaten by 3 points, which was another very, very proud moment. Then I was called out to fight for 3rd place. Come onto the mats, and it was dark, very, very dark. And I looked, and I was against this guy who was 6'8".
Yeah.
6'8", 21-year-old Italian. I mean, I'm 5'11", and 47-year-old, and it was one hell of a reach. I heard off my corner, 10 seconds. 10 seconds, 1 point. I thought, right, get 1 point, we'll go into extra time.
Yeah.
Fitness will win. And I seen the gap, I went for it, and this guy just stuck his leg out, and it caught us right in the ribs.
Yeah.
It just took the wind completely
I
out
bet.
of my sails. I went down, I took my head guard off, my gloves, I took my gum shield out, referee's going, come on, fight. And I went, no. I says, I'm fighting in the final of the veterans tomorrow. And he looked, he went, veterans? I went, yeah. He went, no, fight. I says, no. I declined to fight. I went over, I raised the guy's hand, and I fought the next day with, I think it was cracked ribs.
Yeah.
And I lost the final by a point to a German guy called Giovanni Scriletti, who's one of the top world fighters going.
That's some going though. I mean, even to fight with cracked ribs, I mean, I've had cracked ribs before. You probably agree there's only one way of stopping cracked ribs hurting, and that's just to not breathe.
Yeah.
So, all respect for you for doing that. Do you think you'll hit a certain age that you'll stop training and teaching, or do you think you'll just carry on?
I'll carry on. I had major spinal surgery a few years ago. That's one of the reasons why I did come off the doors. And I was bored, I was sick, I was like a caged bear. And Mr. Burns says, right, come in, but you're not allowed on the mats. I says, right, what am I going to do? Put a chair at the end of the mats. So I was teaching from the end of the mats. And I was like Ironside, the famous detective. I'm sitting on this chair bellowing orders out, telling the kids and that what to do, and people are just laughing at us, and you know.
I can just imagine that.
Yeah. And then I had my eyes done. I had 2 detached retinas as a work injury, and same again. I had to sit on the end of the mat. And,
Yeah.
Oh.
Sound a bit like the Bionic Man with all this surgery. When you mentioned the veterans, what sort of does that start from a particular age, or?
Yeah, veterans start at 36 years old.
By God, I'll be a double veteran in that case.
And then you do have age groups. I fight now in the oldest group.
Yeah.
In the 45 plus.
I haven't reached that one yet.
And we've also just getting it into the Revolution tournaments, which is a circuit that we do, and we are now called the executives. We are not veterans.
I like the sound of executive better than veteran, mate.
Yeah, I mean, there is, when, not taking it away from the guys, when, 36-year-olds, you're still in your prime.
Yeah.
And then you've got some of the guys who have been there, done it, and I've fought a bloke from down Yorkshire. I fought him twice, and I've been beaten twice by him. 63 years old. 63-year-old guy called Keith Priestley, who was one of the original Warriors.
Yeah.
Along with Joe Tierney, Chris Bowie, Alfie Lewis, for to name a few.
It's pretty amazing, 63. Do you think that's the experience?
Yeah.
Sort of life experience and the combat experience coming out?
Yeah, Keith just started competing again, and, hats off to the guy.
Yeah, I think that's pretty amazing, that.
Yeah.
Stu Armstrong with interviews that pack a punch.
I mean, these days, everybody reckons they're a cage fighter.
It's people into their own sports. I'll not condone another sport. I've actually tried Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yep.
There was myself, Rick, and a couple of other guys went along to where Rick used to train up in Blythe, and we trained with, I think he was a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and this guy come in, I want to be a cage fighter, and we're just like, look, there's all us standing with our gis on, with our belts, and you look all up and down because we were just starting. We all had white belts on, but we were all black belts in our background, but going into another style, follow the custom, you wear your white belt. And this kid's, he's known to me and yourself from working on the doors.
Well, he said to me more than once, you want to watch out, I'm a cage fighter.
Yeah, I think he lasted one session.
What, that good was he?
Oh, amazing. Everybody takes something up for a reason.
Yep.
And you can't say this one's for you, that one's for you, that one's for you. Try different ones, see what one's suited to yourself.
That's it. I mean, I suppose it's each your own with anything. I mean, God, it's only last November I came up here when Paul Green asked us in for an interview. I never thought in a million years I'd be presenting a radio show, but Paul sort of created a bit of a monster, but I find it's something that I quite like. So it's each to their own, really, isn't it?
Yep.
With the sort of rise in MMA being more popular, there seems to be a lot more unlicensed and unsanctioned bouts going on these days. Do you see that this can be dangerous at times?
If it's run correctly, then no, as long as you've got your first aid there.
Yeah.
If it's professionally run, like any competition, it's as safe as anything.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Obviously, I mean, still talking the same vein with MMA. UFC is pretty huge these days. It seems to be getting bigger and bigger. In recent months, there's been some quite high-profile fighters in the news for failing drug tests, notably John Jones, with traces of cocaine were found in his system. What's your opinion about this and sort of these fighters that get caught using steroids and things like that?
If you've got to enhance your body with drugs, then why not go the natural way and do it? Just use your own testosterone. I mean, that's probably one of the best drugs going. Your own testosterone.
Could be one of the best answers I think I've heard that. So, we're coming towards the end. What's next for Burn School of Black Belts? I mean, have you got any more big competitions coming up? Or is there anything left that you can actually win? I mean, you seem to have done amazing.
Yeah, we've got a few big competitions coming up very, very soon. We've got the Revolution series, which has just started in January. That runs through the full year. We do competitions throughout the country. We've got European Championships, WTKA Europeans, coming up in March, which is a second qualifier for guys trying out for the World Championships.
Yep.
We've got the Best of British at the end of February, which first qualification, European second qualification, then we'll have trials for guys who have qualified and guys who were there last year who were medalled. Revolution goes throughout the year, and there's some other competitions going which we will be attending as well, some local ones.
Yep.
So yeah, it's going to be another busy year.
Great stuff.
And then World Championships again in October.
Well, if you want us to come and video you, just let us know. All expenses paid, obviously.
What, mate?
Obviously. I'll carry your bags as well. Last but not least, and I really can't resist this. In your opinion, which is the best of the Karate Kid movies? No, you should see the look I'm getting off, Gary, as I've asked that question. I think I may just be in trouble here.
I don't know. I can't really say. It's been that long since I've seen them. I like the Jackie Chan one. But you've got a stumped, yeah, I know.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Gary. As always, it's great to see you. Don't forget, if you'd like to find out more about Burn School of Black Belts, please visit the website, which is www.bsbb.co.uk. That's www.bsbb.co.uk. I'll also be adding the links to Burn School of Black Belts on my website, which is www.stuarmstrong.com, and we'll be tweeting it and using Facebook through Radio Northumberland.
Can I just say, Stu, the actual website is under reconstruction.
Yep.
So if the guys want to get in touch, use the Facebook pages, Burn School of Black Belts and Burn School of Black Belts 2, which are the two schools. There's also a Burn School of Black Belts 3, which is just started.
Yep.
And get in touch, and all the details are on there.
Brilliant. Well, great stuff. If there's any problems sort of find the Facebook pages or anything, which I'm sure there won't be, by all means you can contact me at Radio Northumberland and I can pass the details on to you.
Stu Armstrong with interviews that pack a punch.